Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on our Hidden Pockets podcast. My name is Jorge Sanchez, and I am one of the co hosts for this podcast. I'm here with my good friends and fellow co host. And why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
So I am Christian Salazar. I am also one of the co-hosts of Hidden Podcast, and I am also a producer.
Cool. I'm Daniel Salazar, and I'm a co-host of this podcast.
I'm David Toro, and I am co host and executive producer. And I'd like to give a shout out to Anda Conmigo for allowing us to use the podcast room. Thank you so much. You guys have a blessed day.
Awesome. Well, I guess we should probably talk about the title. What the heck do hidden pockets even mean, right? So I don't know if you boys have an experience where you have like I don't know pants, and you like lose something in those pants or something. Let's say like a $20 bill, and you can't find it, right? And then one day you like play a little bit more with your pocket, and then you find this missing buck. It was in a little hidden pocket, right? And so the idea just kind of came from just like trying to like find the best and like what's actually hidden out there, right? And so with hidden pocket, like the idea just kind of stems from just finding that valuable thing that's been hidden away for so long and being able to pull it out into the light once again. And us four, after being, in a culture far away, very different from ours, we feel like it'd be nice to kind of like shed some light, in the goodness that's in ours, through our experience and as well as just like the different stories we've had of each other. Like I've been in Utah for 5 years and George has also been here around the same time. And we all have experiences, things that'd be good to take out in light, all those so called hidden pockets.
So, how the idea came to be was, well, we honestly just went to a pizza place. Well, first, it was a little bit earlier than that. We like were just having a group conversation and we just thought, oh, we should. Well, it was George who said, oh, we should make a podcast together. And then on the same day, we went to a pizza place and we just talked a whole lot about like pop culture and um, even leaned a little bit to like politics but also like comic books, but specifically pop culture. And George immediately was just like, "You see, this is why we should start a
That's
podcast."
right. I remember
Yeah.
that. I think what really is cool, though, is I think in life it's so hard to find a group of friends who take ideas and turn them into action. And so even though maybe we had like discussed about it, it just kind of hit us that day. We should totally do this. We have the resources and connections. And so I think this is a good idea.
And our purpose for this podcast is to encourage the best out of people by sharing our experiences. Now, Daniel alluded to this earlier, but all of us are not from Utah. We've come from different places across the U.S. and in David's case, Puerto Rico. With that, we bring our own unique perspectives on how things are around here through the lens of someone who is not from Utah. And I think with that, it allows us to connect with people, not just here, but also outside of Utah.
Yep, that's actually a really good way to put it. Um, and there's a lot of people who have told us, if they, as soon as we release these episodes, they really want to hear this stuff. And it's because, again, like, we're just normal guys, but, we're around extraordinary people, and we ourselves have done extraordinary things. And so why not share the good in this world? And so kind of now that we're on this topic, um, we're gonna go ahead and kind of share our brief experiences of where we come from. Some things that have helped us get to this point, and kind of uh, talk about maybe like a little bit of the culture and um, how that's kind of made an impact on us and how we've made an impact on others. So, like I was saying, my name is Jorge Sanchez. I'm from Washington State, and my family comes from Mexico. I was born here, and so I kind of had this dual um, childhood growing up, right, where everyone speaks English, and there's an American culture, at school and with friends. But when you go home, there's like the Latin side of the family. And I served a mission and studied at BYU, did my undergrad in accounting, and now I'm doing my master's at UVU. And honestly, it's been a huge blessing to be here in Utah. Have taught me a lot. I hate the weather, but there's good people here, and so
Don't we all?
that's me.
Weather.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
All right. So Daniel and I were brothers, and so we're born to good Latino parents. My dad from Peru, my mom from Costa Rica. And so we grew up in New Jersey, which is an entirely different animal than Utah. Because for one, we're all the way in the East Coast, and our customs and traditions are a lot different than out here in the West. So currently I am studying here at BYU, I'm studying communications with an emphasis on journalism. And throughout my time here at BYU and also outside of BYU, I've been able to gain unique insights on how this culture works and things I like about it versus things I don't like about it. Overall, it's helped me to kind of form my own opinions about things the way I see them.
Nice. Good job, Chris. Yeah, I mean, we're siblings. You guys will probably find that out one day, right? Anyways, but yeah, like Chris was saying, we were born in New Jersey. Our dad's from Peru, mom Costa Rica. And it's been fun, being able to kind of like experience like what George was saying, dual worlds, you go outside and you kind of have to experience what is American culture a little bit, right? It's funny because like for the first 9 years of my life, my brother and I grew up in a town called Union. And then my parents, more than anything, they want us to grow up in a safer community. Very different culture overall. Like it was, well, to put it very bluntly, less diverse. And it's funny because New Jersey is known for diversity, And you go to my town, it's like, what the heck? What happened to all that diversity, It's like I got washed away, right? But all joking aside, I feel like, after like having my time in New Providence, after a while, like growing up there, like I figured, eventually you kind of have to figure out some things for yourself, right? So like eventually, high school graduation, thank goodness, right? I didn't like high school. I felt like a prison in there, More than anything, like I just wanted to kind of like experience things on my own, and kind of like find myself, right? Outside of high school and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like George, I served a mission or religious ministry for those who are not familiar with it. And then, yeah, I also did my undergrad in BYU, studied marketing. I'm working full time now and just still trying to figure things out, having fun, learn new things. Just doing what I can, right?
In my case, I was born in Puerto Rico, and I moved there from Puerto Rico to Florida and pretty much lived most of my life there. And definitely culture is different here when it comes to comparison. And I'm not going to compare Puerto Rico and Utah. I'm definitely going to compare Florida and Utah only because Puerto Rico and Utah have a few things in common. Just the majority of it is due to the mountains. But cultural wise, like when I came to Florida, when I came to Puerto Rico, to Utah, I was stunned to see that strangers would just come up to me and say hello and goodbye. Like I remember one day I was just walking and this dude, I don't know where, I don't know who he was. He was just like, hello or good morning. And I was like, you talking to me? Do I know you? And I don't get a lot of that in Florida or in Puerto Rico. Heck, every other state I've been to, like, nobody really does that. And it just, like, impacted me a lot more that, like, there's a lot of much nicer people here. I'm not saying any other places don't have nice people, but, like, it's just that, like, I don't know. I guess it just touched me in my heart a lot, just seeing just a little bit of kindness there.
It makes you feel better. I got yelled by an old man today. True story.
Oh, jeez. That does not make me feel better. Just
oh dang. That's okay. My coworker got yelled by an old lady, so everyone gets yelled at today,
You know what? That actually does.
I didn't get yelled at today. That's good news.
Be lucky.
I will say though, since you're kind of talking about, meeting people, David, what would you say? I think the listeners would like to know how we got to know each other. So
Oh,
my
let's
gosh.
Oh yeah.
let's start
We
that.
definitely have something there. Oh, you already know.
Okay. Let me.
These
Let me.
stories are fantastic.
Okay, let me just say that on this day, Daniel and I, we were just chilling, minding our own business, and
The cap. No, you guys don't mind your own business.
yes, we were.
No,
just,
you kidding me? Latin? We don't mind our own business.
Nah.
No way.
You guys are the life of the party. How could you?
Yeah. So
Jorge,
Daniel
you
and
mind
I,
your own
we
business
were.
most of the time.
I do.
So Daniel and I, we were just like minding our own business, just chilling at his place, and then I hear this really loud knock on the door, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, wow, somebody must really want to get in. So I go to open the door, and I see this little man just shove me aside and be like, move, and run straight to the bathroom. And I'm like, okay, great to meet you too.
So this was Thanksgiving.
Mm.
Yeah.
I remember? Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's Thanksgiving.
I was sleepy, so I don't remember all the details.
Oh, I was there.
I remember that night having to go to the restroom, very quickly, and usually the apartment that Daniel lives in is usually unlocked.
Yeah.
Please don't rob him now that I've said this, but like he has it unlocked for the most part, and so the one time I need it to be unlocked, it's locked, and so then I'm knocking on this door. This I was like, this guy, I don't even know who this guy is. I was like, move away, and then I went into the restroom, and then we had our formal introduction afterwards. But, I think we can all agree when you have the craziest introductions, those are the ones that usually last the longest.
Hmm.
That was a great first impression, George, that you gave to Dave.
And here we are, still friends. So.
I know, it's a miracle that even happened.
It's funny because we talk about first impressions, right? So George and I, we met a couple years ago at a BYU organization. One of my friends invited me to first generation students organization, and it was a time because I was a first gen college student. George is as well. Chris is as well. Jay, are you a first gen college student? I'll take that as a no. Anyways, so I got invited to this activity, right? And here's the thing, like back in the day, look, I'll admit, like my style game wasn't there, all right? Like I wasn't the dog I am today. Let's put it that way, all right? And I go to this organization. We call it clubs over there, but it really means the same thing. We don't go out there and do all that crazy stuff at the moment. But I see George, and I'll be honest, I have my first impressions about him. I see him like, uh-oh, this guy's trouble, And then he sees me. He has some thoughts as well. He sees me like, oh, this guy's a loser, We said some meaner things, but we didn't want to hurt each other's feelings tonight, So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna. It was my birthday actually, so I had to leave to go somewhere. I told my friend I'd go, be a pal, and so I just start going like, oh, let me avoid this guy. This guy looks like trouble, and he stops me. He's like, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm like, oh, freak, He's probably gonna be annoying to me. So he introduces himself. He's like, oh, how are you? Like, where you from? And I don't remember what happened eventually, but he's like, oh, do you have an Instagram so I could follow you? I'm like, sure, yeah, here's my Instagram, So after that, I was like, okay, cool. He thought I was not gonna come back ever again, Like I said, he thought I was a loser, so he didn't think much about me. And I had other thoughts as well, I thought this guy was crazy or something. Like, oh no, I'm out of here,
Yeah. No, I definitely, I remember that day very well, and like kind of Daniel was saying, he's changed so much since then. How many years ago now?
Oh, you want to say it, man? It's been too long.
Been too long.
3 years. 3 years.
But even the basic of things, you've changed astronomically, and so back then I saw so much potential in you, and so maybe
I was a loser. You kidding
from
me?
your perspective, you probably thought that you were a loser, but I definitely saw someone that okay, this is someone that can go really far with a little bit of help. I think it's cool though because we don't have to know everything in order to help people out. If I know a little bit about something and it benefits you, why not share that? And so at that time I remember thinking, man, I'm never going to see this guy again. And but I'm glad we kept in touch, and we eventually became roommates, and we've done a lot of things together. Going to the gym, working on our skill sets, on our hobbies, that stuff. I've invited you to some award ceremonies that I've been a part of, and you've invited me to. I won't say the name of the brand, but I used to work for a company, and you'd hook up the discounts.
Oh
and,
yeah,
and,
I helped this man out.
we're all struggling college students, and a lot of our shout out to a lot of our viewers who are, of our, demographic and our age, and the economy and school and family and relationships. A lot of that stuff is really hard, and that's actually brings us to the next topic is what our listeners and viewers can expect moving forward of this podcast. Here we have a lot of typical conversations that people want to hear. One of the biggest one is sports. We have one of our good friends here, Chris. He's very good at all of that sports stuff. I'm not your guy. Tell us a little bit about why you're qualified to speak on sports, if you can.
Oh man, that last topic, bro, you sounded a little bit like Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda.
How so, Chris?
You're just kind of like, I see potential in you, Daniel. You also completely glossed over my introduction, or not glossed over my introduction, glossed over how I met everyone here.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so before we get into sports, I know we'll get there. Daniel and I, we need no introduction. We're brothers. So, George, I remembered when I came back with Daniel to Utah after my 2 years religious ministry, as we call it here. Daniel's car wasn't starting up, and the only other person who was there was George, and that's how I met.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
That's right.
And that's how I met George for the first time. And just like Daniel, he saw a lot of potential in me. And since then, we've done things together, like
That's right.
like we actually went out to sing to a retirement home not too long ago.
That's right. And honestly, thank you so much for bringing that up. What's crazy is we know each other so well that sometimes I feel like, oh, you mentioned this in my head, and therefore I didn't have the need to speak it out loud. But you're so right. I mean, I forgot about how we first met, and yes, we have a band. It's called the Wave Brothers, and we go play for senior citizens. Our specialty. Do you want to tell the viewers what our specialty is?
Oh yeah, our specialty are oldies, goldies. Like Elvis, Diamond and the Belmonts, and lots more. Oh yes, how could I forget the Everlyn brothers?
That's right. That's right. And that music, that genre of music is dying. But yeah, so that's our introduction. And now quickly tell them about why you could talk about sports, and now kind of shout out my other co-hosts about what they can talk about.
Oh yeah, well I love sports, and I do tend to follow sports as well, particularly like NFL. Not so much NBA these days, but I sometimes keep an eye out for NBA. Also follow a little bit of baseball, not so much soccer. Unfortunately, too complicated.
That's true.
But especially during football season, I get really excited. Daniel could testify to this.
Nice. Well, we're excited to hear what you have to say, David, my man. What can the viewers and listeners expect to hear from you in the coming weeks?
Okay. Most likely you can expect me to talk about, the pop culture stuff that we talked about when we were in the concept of making this podcast. You can expect me to talk about film, writing stuff, or even just video games, or just things that most viewers that are into those things would wanna hear. And maybe if like with the stuff that's been happening with some recent films, I might even like touch up on that too, like some news stuff. But before I give the attention to Daniel, I wanna say, since I already mentioned how I met George, I wanna mention how I met Daniel.
Oh yeah.
I guess we skipped everyone.
Hey, George.
So-
really thought about all of this.
So maybe just maybe I could give the spotlight to Daniel, but I think I want to steal it
No,
from
preach,
him.
man. Preach.
I'll preach.
I'll tell you if it's true or not.
Okay, so basically, I was going to a birthday party for a mutual friend of ours, and I had no idea that Daniel, Chris, or even George existed. so I, so I was going to this party, and first person I see is Daniel. He introduces himself to me, and I started talking with him, and we like in Spanish we say "me cae bien," so to me
que bueno, que bueno.
yeah. and I asked him for like his phone number, his Instagram, whatever, just so I could stay in touch. Also, because he was looking for a job at the time,
Oh, yeah.
and I wanted to help a guy
You
out.
want to help me.
Yeah,
It's a trap.
yeah, help. and I texted him, and I honestly thought that there would be no issue, and thankfully there was no issue. And then we went ice skating, and then started watching movies and whatever.
Well, I will quickly say the thing about David is, look, everybody, I don't know what it is, but like, I'm totally kidding when I say this, but everyone's a chicken, right? Like, no one likes horror movies or crazy intense movies around here. So I'm like, free, this guy's scared horror movies. This guy doesn't watch a whole bunch of them, And like, look, the thing is, like, I like watching movies. Like, I watch pretty much like, I would say most genres, and like I like horror too. But like, who am I gonna watch it with? Like, no one wants to watch it with me ever. Except David, like free, they'll watch anything with me. Like, shout out to David for that, like.
Shout out to the Pookie Bear.
This guy. No, but like it's true. Like, no one else will watch horror movies with me, but David.
It's okay, fellow way brother. I got you, bro. We don't watch scary
The
movies.
chicken gang over there. I'm joking. No, but like it's true. Like David and I, like, he likes seeing my reaction because like when I see a movie and I like think about a bunch of things, I'm like, freak, this is about to go down, and then like it gets spicy when some things, and what I mean is like it just gets intense. But no, it's always been fun, and like aside from that, like yeah, all other adventures,
Great. So, okay, have we missed anyone's introduction on each other yet?
Yeah, you missed my no joke. I'm joking.
Well,
David and I.
Yeah,
are
he
not-
he missed the Invisible Man, the one thing George is afraid of.
The Invisible Man. Wait, how did you say something about how you met David?
Just through me.
Yeah, I met him through Daniel. I think it was on Thanksgiving where I first met
Yeah, that
David.
was on Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, but you were asleep, right? Type stuff.
I was kind of sleepy. So
He was drugged. I'm joking.
the turkey got me that day. No, I was just kind of sleepy, so we didn't really get to know each other until the subsequent days, weeks, and months afterwards.
So okay, now let's get into maybe what I can talk about in the coming weeks, and then I'll pass over to Daniel here. But what as I've mentioned before, I have my background, my skill set is in accounting and business, and so there are a lot of educated young people our age here in Provo, but they stay for one reason or another. They don't necessarily know what's going on in the business industry and how that impacts them personally. Just like politics, right?
Yep.
Like everyone knows things are going on in the background, but no one knows how they can leverage that in their own lives. And so that's where I can come in. If there's like a huge tax law that has passed or legislation that has passed in Congress, I can definitely bring that up and offer some area of expertise. I'm not a CPA yet. I don't have that 60 years of experience under my belt, but I know enough to at least start talking. And it's good to have conversations. It's better to have conversations and have them take place than to not know about them and then have those things impact you. But I also like sports. I like more mixed martial arts. I think it's a well-disciplined sport, so that's what I can offer as well. And so much more. But how about you?
Yeah, on my end, like, I'm like your everyday guy, like I like to talk about all sorts of things, right? So for my end, you could expect, since I also studied business like George, like just like maybe fun trends, pop culture things as well, like David, and we could even talk more specifically about what kinds of things you like. Also just like different life experiences, like things that I've done to maybe overcome certain obstacles, right? Just getting down and personal, because like, hey, life is hard, right? Like I don't think there's anyone in this room that could say life is easy. Like it's always been hard, right? And like I've had my hardships, and like even as I was growing up, like hey, look, I faced, for example, low self-esteem because of like personal struggles. I've also stayed like loneliness, as well as just some imbalances or some things. Just because like hey, you grow up, there's some things you don't know of, So like I'm always down to talk about like some deep and personal things, how I've overcome those things. I know everyone's always curious about dating, and like I'm always down to talk about my experiences as
Oh
well.
gosh, well, here we go.
No, I'm just throwing it out there. Also, my passions, different hobbies, because it took me a while to realize how important those things were. Like George and I, we like to box sometimes. We could talk about that some other day. But yeah, like hey, honestly, that could be pretty random. But careful what you mention, because I might talk too much about. I'm just yeah, these guys know me too well.
Oh my gosh. Let me just say, George and I still need a boxing match together.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll see how long he lasts with me.
Should we
Maybe-
broadcast it live?
Instagram live that.
Oh my gosh.
It's like only 2 viewers, Daniel and Chris.
only to be
And your
the duel of the century.
Why would you want to box me, David?
Nah, just because I heard that you're a good fighter, and I used to fight in school, so that's why.
Yeah, well, you know what they call that, right? They call that street knowledge versus like classroom knowledge. So you have street knowledge, and I just have, I would take like boxing classes and stuff like that.
Technically, I have both because I have had teachers to teach me how to not school teachers.
Yeah, I was
making it
gonna
clear,
say.
not
Hey, yo,
school
okay,
teachers.
you're mad
Just,
Florida.
no. I just had family members teach me how to fight. That's
Hey, yo.
His science teacher would beat him up.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Giving that little extra taste of extra kick of chemistry.
Oh my gosh. What was I even going to say? Thank you, Chris. I forgot. Oh jeez. George, help me out here.
This is the good thing about podcasts is all of this is live.
Yeah.
So these laughs are genuine. They're not fabricated.
We could talk about that another day. We have our fair share experience with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think our time is coming closer to an end. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Okay. Well, we want to thank everyone for, sharing our first episode with you guys. We have so much topics to go over the next coming episodes. We have tons and tons of support from friends and family. So huge shout out to friends and family for helping us get to this point, for providing the resources, feedback. We really care about you guys, and so please, I say give yourself a round of applause, but that's just something a teacher would say, I feel like.
Yeah.
But-
Talking about genuine, huh?
Yeah.
Most
What's our Instagram handle? Let's throw that out there. For
It's at Hidden Pocket. It's at Hidden Pockets Podcast. You shush. I messed up. I know. And you can follow us on Instagram. I'll also put a link below on our Facebook page, our YouTube, and our Spotify. Just for safekeeping. But yeah.
you guys.
This guy, he's out of this world already. Look at him.
Yeah.
Like he's taking wheeze. Well, when it comes to final thoughts, I'm excited, and I want to thank everybody as well for making this happen. Like David said, follow us on our YouTube channel, our Facebook, our Instagram. We'll be sure to leave a link so you guys can give us a follow if you like.
And I'd like to thank everyone who supported us up to this point and continue to support us. And we are so excited to be able to talk about things that might sometimes go under the radar on Hidden Pockets.
Thank you. And then as closing, I just want to reiterate, there are a lot of people just like us. Even if you're not Hispanic, if you're not in your 20s, a lot of people can relate to like the struggle. And so, if you're out there and you're struggling, we recommend, to not give up the fight, to keep trying hard. There's good people out there. There's good in the world. Where we exercise faith, and so if there's anything that we can help you guys out with, please reach out, and we'd love to give words of encouragement, and just passing good vibes. So thank you again, everyone, so much for taking the time to listen to us, to watch us, and we really appreciate you guys. So thank you so much. This has been our first episode of the Hidden Pockets podcast, and we hope to see you guys next time.
Goodbye.
See you later.